Alrighty, guys. Penguin was one of the shows that truly surprised me this year. And I think that, it's fair to say that there was anticipation for a show like Penguin, but to think that it could have been that good, and again, just speaking from my own personal experience, if you didn't like Penguin, totally fine. I have friends who didn't like Penguin. That's just, again, totally fine. But for me, I just thought, wow, what a phenomenal piece of television storytelling. Now, the question obviously then becomes, since Penguin himself didn't die, spoiler alert, at the end of his show, and he's going to appear in the Batman Part 2, and Matt Reeves has teased that he is going to have a future, and, after the Batman Part 2, and Colin Farrell said he signed up for a trilogy, so, again, we'll see. He might die in Batman Part 2, and then we might all be like, well, that was interesting, and Matt Reeves was just covering, but as of the recording of this podcast episode, the Penguin is said to have a future after the Batman Part 2, and the question after having a successful show like this, such a successful show, is, well, season 2? Is it going to happen? Because look, I mean, you can say all you want about, other shows deserve season 2s and whatnot, but if this show is going to garner the kind of Emmy and awards consideration that it rightfully and justly deserves, then, and especially for people like Colin Farrell and Kristen Milioti, you gotta imagine there's going to be season 2. And the interesting and really great thing about this universe is that, well, this isn't a show where it's like you watch it and you go, oh, great that you want a season 2. The story's over. And you're just forcing a season or a second movie. I thought that way about Joker Folie à Deux. And again, granted, storytellers can always find ways to tell new stories with these same characters, even if it seems so final. So, the ending is so finite. I mean, Toy Story 4 is a great example of this to me. I would not have ever greenlit a Toy Story 4. I said, it's done. Toy Story 3 is one of the most beautiful endings in film, and yet here they are. They made Toy Story 4, and it's not as good, I don't think, as the previous 3, but I really like Toy Story 4. Really like Toy Story 4. They're making Toy Story 5. I'm thinking the exact same thing about it, but we'll have to see about that. So, but the thing about it is, going back to Penguin, is that I don't think Penguin's like that. I mean, depending on what happens in the Batman Part 2, I don't think he's going to be in it for that long. But, based on what Colin Farrell said, he's going to have maybe 5 or 6 scenes or whatever. And that's great. But let's just assume that the Penguin kind of ends the Batman Part 2 in a similar spot as he was at the end of the Penguin, where he is, now on the inside and he's trying to gain political power. That is season 2. Season 2 is now less of a gang war, and it's more of an inside politics war where you're talking about corruption in local government and things like that, where Penguin is trying to crawl his way up. And who knows? Who knows? I think there's precedent in the comic books. He might even be mayor by the end of the show. That would be really crazy, right? So I think that would be a very interesting angle to explore. So anyways, all that to say, we've been speculating on this, and we've been wondering, is there ever going to be a Batman or Penguin season 2? And now Matt Reeves has just done an interview, and, well, actually, I think Zoe Kravitz was interviewing him for something. I don't even know why. And she asks him, and this is just the question that she's asking him, and none of these shows, everyone's freaking out over the Penguin. And Reeves says this: yeah, we're talking to showrunner Lauren LeFranc about doing another season. That was a special experience. I just feel really fortunate. These characters don't belong to me. They belong to the world. It comes down to whether you can approach them in a way that expresses something personal. So, very interesting, because, again, we gotten hints of, if, there will obviously be conversations about a season 2 and whatnot. And Colin Farrell, after complaining about the makeup, which, who wouldn't complain about the makeup? I mean, it took hours and hours, like 5 hours to put on the makeup and a couple hours to take it off. Who would not complain about the makeup? But after, he probably will be nominated for an Emmy, and he might even win it. I don't know. He might even win an Emmy for this. And if he does, I mean, you're coming back for season 2. And I think it's a role that he probably enjoyed a lot. Just a very different kind of role. I mean, he's one of the best actors out there right now. And I think that there's always an incentive to come back when you have a show as popular as this. Now, in terms of when that might happen, may not be for a long time, because the Batman Part 2 won't come out until 2026. And, if the Penguin Season 1 didn't come out until 2024, when the Batman Part 1 came out in 2022, I would imagine it'll be 2028, maybe, when the Penguin Season 2 comes out. And I know that they're developing other shows as well. And again, it all depends on where the Batman Part 2 leaves this character. Matt Reeves in this interview also mentioned and confirmed that they are moving full steam ahead on the Batman Part 2. They are finishing up the script right now, and they're going to film in early 2025. So here's hoping that no other production delays come out, and the Batman Part 2 hits its release date, I believe, in October of 2026. It's still a long ways away, but we're getting closer. We're getting closer to returning to this universe. And in the meantime, it's great to get these shows like Penguin to tie this over. So Yeah, looks like Penguin Season 2. I would give it something like a 75% chance that Penguin Season 2 is a go. And I'd be very excited to see what they do from there. But guys, let me know in the comments down below. Do you think Penguin Season 2 is going to happen? Or do you think that they're just going to leave it here? Let me know in the comments down below.